When you hear the word addiction, the first thing that comes to mind is cocaine, masturbation, and other substances which are quite dangerous to our body or causes harm to ourselves. And what if I told you that addiction isn't just about this substance we take to our body? It's about patterns, and it is this pleasure that turn out to become pains. Something which we enjoy, something we take to our body to make us calm, to make us to have this satisfaction, but turn out to be something that hunts us down or find it difficult to stop those things. It is this invisible thread pulling you back to what you promised yourself that you're going to leave behind.
Welcome to Victor's View.
Addiction is a condition where a person becomes physically or psychologically dependent on a substance or behavior, despite its harmful consequences. And beneath that definition lies something deeper, just like a brain that's been hijacked. And this addiction isn't just a moral failure, it's about this willpower, and it's about this neurochemistry, the way your brain learns to associate pleasure with survival. So, what if I told you that there's a substance which is secreted in the brain that brings about this satisfaction, this pleasure we have when we do those kind of things that we keep doing all the time and we find it difficult to stop. And there's the point where I have to introduce a substance called dopamine. Okay, so I'm going to show you just an analogy to see how dopamine brings about this sense of addiction which you have when we keep doing the particular stuff all the time. Dopamine is a chemical secreted by the brain, and what this chemical does is it gives you this sense of satisfaction when you have done something you enjoy so much. So you can see dopamine is the brain's wanting chemical, and it creates desires, anticipation, and pleasure. So this is what this chemical does. So, for example, if you do something which you enjoy so much, you have this sense of reward, and this sense of reward is caused by the dopamine, which is a chemical secreted in the brain. So in this picture, okay, let me just make reference to this food here. So here you have your burger, you have chips and all that and drinks. So if you eat this meal, you have this sense of satisfaction. So if you enjoy this meal, dopamine and you have this satisfaction, dopamine will release to give you that form of reward. So with that because of this dopamine, you have the need to want to eat this meal again because of the satisfaction you've gotten from this meal. So that is one important thing that dopamine does. So now, if you look at this picture here, you can see this example of somebody masturbating. So if you masturbate, we see kind of you call it the bad habit whatsoever, self pleasure. So at this point, you discover that if your first encounter, if you have the very good experience, you enjoy it so much, the dopamine will be released and it's going to give you that satisfaction and reward. So because of that, you want to try it again and you keep trying again, and this dopamine will be secreted more, and at that point in time, this dopamine will not continue to become secreted, which will make those persons to be having this wanting desire, and the person keep masturbating. So the same thing with smoking and other things. So they all happen the same ways due to the effect of dopamine. Taking of cocaine and all that. If you take a cocaine and you become high, dopamine will be released. If you enjoy the experience, you get that from a reward, and you start doing that stuff all over again. So one thing about the brain is that the brain is an organ that give you sensation and interpret everything that tends to happen. So for example, if you eat something that's very sweet, the brain tends to interpret it and tell you that yes, you enjoy this thing, and it's going to give that form of satisfaction, which the dopamine plays a major role in. So now it is dopamine. You have different sections. You have what we call the prefrontal cortex. You have the nucleus accumbens. And you have the VTA, which is also called the ventral tegmental area. And this VTA here is where the dopamine is being released. Okay, this nucleus accumbens is the part which processes pleasure and reward. So when you have a pleasure, when you masturbate or you smoke or whatsoever, this part of the brain, this nucleus accumbens, processes that pleasure and reward, and the prefrontal cortex. This helps with decision making and self control. So this part here, it makes you to have this self control, and it makes you to make that decision either to keep masturbating, keep smoking, keep taking hard drugs, or if you abstain from it. But have in mind that once your brain is already used to a particular thing, a particular thing you're already doing, so when you keep masturbating and you keep having this sense of reward, this dopamine, what's going to happen there is that your dopamine level is going to be very high because it keeps secreting. And one bad thing here is that the brain will remind you, say, come on, you masturbated the last time, you enjoy it, and you had a very good experience. Why don't you try it again? So that brain will keep reminding you. Then dopamine will release. Then you now start having a situation when you now start making a choice. Should I do it or not? That's where this prefrontal cortex, which secretes that abstinence will now start coming into play. So at this point, you make a decision to either you masturbate, take hard drugs, or just abstain from it. So that's what this thing is all about. So any form of addiction whatsoever, dopamine has a big role it plays because it brings about this wanting desires. From this wanting desire, you start having high amount of cravings. From this high amount of cravings, then addiction come into place. So this is just the analogy.
So now you can see that when you're talking about addiction, it's not just about masturbation, drugs, and all that. It can just be a particular thing which you keep doing all the time, and you find yourself spending too much time on a particular thing. Let me say, for example, press your phone, social media. You know, going to club can be addictive. You know, if you go to the club, you catch an old phone, you keep going to the club all the time, it can be addictive. So it's anything that you keep doing all the time, you find it difficult to stop, and that particular thing is actually taking the whole lot of the time. You know, just for example, you have an examination to write, and instead of reading your books, you spend your time on social media. You can see that it's a form of addiction because why? The social media is taking a lot of the time, it's preventing you from being productive and spending your time to do the right on the right on the right time. And again, generally everybody's addicted to food or love eating. So you have a particular food you're addicted to. So it's not really about drugs, masturbation, and other things that's very detrimental to one's health. So it just has to be, in fact, it encompasses everything. So I just want to talk about masturbation. So we have other type of addiction, but I just want to pick one out of the whole, which is masturbation. So masturbation is kind of self pleasure we get, which is done by ourselves, not by a partner. I know most of the time it comes to your mind, it comes to things that triggers you. And let me say like the things you watch online, like let me see pornography, and pornography these days is very cheap to come by. You know, so if you have a handset, if you just go to a site, you just check, it's cheap. You know, so people have access to this, and this is what is making people to get more addicted to masturbation. Why? Because you have easy source to all these things. Then the internet, you can actually have access to these things, and you find yourself pleasuring yourself. Why? Because probably maybe you're single, you don't have a partner, you're on your own, you tend to just start having these urges, which is kind of a hormone which is present in your body anyway. We have testosterone as a male, the females you have estrogen. So this kind of hormone is going to trigger you. So when you trigger you, dopamine will be released and tell you that, hey, come on, you just have to pleasure yourself so that you just get this thing off you, and just say, okay, let me just masturbate, let me just enjoy the pleasure. Dopamine will give you a sense of reward and sense of satisfaction, and you find yourself doing this thing all over again. Now, one thing that masturbation does to you is that it gives you this ideology that okay, yeah, when you're having these urges, you just have to just masturbate and just get it out of your chest and whatnot. And one of these let me say a negative effect it have on us is that sometimes it can just it can make you just see people differently, and it can affect a guy psychologically. Just for example, you may just find it difficult not wanting a lady anymore. Why? Because you can actually self please yourself or self satisfy yourself, just doing it yourself. Or a female who actually use different sex toys and all that just to satisfy themselves. They may just find themselves not even needing a man anymore, because why? Actually, I can pleasure myself. If I have these urges, I can make myself feel good. So what's the point? So, but one thing about this masturbation is that once you start doing it, and once you start having that sense of reward, and you start having the satisfaction, you may just start getting very comfortable, and you find it difficult to stop. So one thing about our brain is that now our brain stores information and makes you to remember things, give you the sense of memory to remember things you've done before. So our brain can just tell you that, hey, come on, man, you've masturbated before, you enjoy this, you enjoy the experience. Why don't you try it again and just keep doing it? So like what they say that an idle man is a devil workshop. So if you're alone in your room, you're just idle, you're not doing anything, you're not engaged, so that thought to start coming, your brain just tell you, hey, come on, man, just you did this thing last time, just come on, catch fun. Then your mind will start running 360. Okay, let me just go to this site, or just think about something that triggers you. Maybe you just think about a lady who you're crushing on, or maybe a movie you've watched that they did a lot of stuff, and maybe the site you normally visit to watch all these things. So this kind of stuff will just trigger you to just want to try to keep masturbating. So most of the time, if you're alone at home, there's high chances of you masturbating frequently, because you have no other things thinking. A lot of things will fill your mind. So the thoughts will just come up. You think about how you've enjoyed yourself. Dopamine will tell you that you had the satisfaction. So come on, just masturbate. You'll be fine. That's it. All right. So we are all child of God and are Christians. So one negative effect that masturbation does in terms of Christianity is that it gives you this sense of guilt. And like, for example, if you want to pray, if you think about what you've done before, like, I just masturbated not long ago, you want to have this sense of guilt, like, I think I can pray because why I'm feeling filthy because I can't pray to God because I've done something which is not good. So it gives you the sense of guilt and makes you feel kind of just feel so bad, just so bad for yourself. So it just deprive you from a lot of things. He you know it just make you the relationship between you and your maker very long. So it give you the distance between you and your maker, because you find it difficult to ask your maker for help and assistance, because you feel you have done something which is unethical based on the Bible. So if I tell you that the best way to stop addiction is by doing A or doing B or doing C, that's a lie. The best way is just your own decision. The gradual process is it's just like something which you sit down and just make a decision that this thing I want to stop it. Then it's a gradual process. Something you just feel you can just stop once overnight, just wake up the next morning. I'm fine. I'm not gonna addicted to this stuff anymore. It's a gradual process. Why? Because you have a brain that reminds you of that stuff. You have a dopamine that give you a sense of reward. You have those two things that's there. So you have to try to beat the trick. So this has to do with what you call self-discipline, and something which you have to consult. Just try everything that works for you. Going to church, speak to somebody, meet a counselor, going to rehab, whatsoever. Just do what you know you can do that's going to help you. So one thing you can do to save yourself from all this stress, you just want to get married. Yeah, getting married is just at least I know yes, couples watch pornography together, but at least the adults, the adults watch pornography, then and then they just go and particular what they've watched, but at least it's just them, not maybe just something you do by yourself and stuff like that. So the best thing is to just get married or get a partner, just get somebody, get a partner, just get married, get married. Yes, I said get married now. Why are you looking at me? Get married. So all right, so this is just just an overview of what this addiction is all about and just the things you can do. So I can just come here and tell you that okay, the best way to stop addiction is just by just do this. If you do this, it's a lie. It's something which you have to work on yourself. Look for something that works best for you. The best strategy you can use to stop it. So that's it. So this is just my little take on addiction and the kind of things it can actually do. The other things it can do to you, it can make you feel depressed and all that. So you just I don't want to make the video very long, so I'm just going to sign out from here. So this is Victor's view. Just keep subscribe to my channel, just keep watching my video. Maybe one day I'm just talking about something that bothers you, and maybe my own view, maybe something, maybe just give you a kind of solution which you just need. All right, so see you next time, and please subscribe to my channel. Peace out.